because people don't do it. When you do it, people are just nicely surprised. And I think the impact and the message that it sends is just so great.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Coffee with Tea. I am your host, Anya Tyler, and I'm excited because we're going to connect with an old friend of mine who's been on the show before, so you got to check out the other episode. Miss Hilary is here with us.
Thank you so much for having me back. When you said I'm here from, I was like, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I didn't know you were putting I didn't know it was the name of the company we were looking for.
A flare of
There for fudge, yes.
Yes. And like I said, we had a really great conversation we talked about passion and following your passion because you were sharing a little bit about your story. We're not going to dive too much into it, but I am going to turn over to you to tell a little bit about who you are. And if you want to recap what a little bit about your journey as we go forward into this new conversation about connecting up where we were, what we've done, and we're basically how to stay in touch with our clients and our building relationships. So I know it's a lot. I get on a little rant, but I'm going to turn it over to you, Miss Hilary. The floor is yours, my friend. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much again for having me. I appreciate it. I was saying to you that I loved our last conversation. So thanks for inviting me back again. And welcome to all the listeners and visitors that are on your podcast. I look forward to hopefully speaking with some of them. But let's start off. I'm Hilary with a flair for fudge. And I have a gourmet fudge company out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We are internet-based. We do not have brick and mortar, but we've been in business 12 and a half years. I started making fudge 15 years before that, got downsized from corporate America, decided after working for two different companies of going back into business for myself. My background's in advertising and marketing, and I basically had been making fudge, as I said, for about 15 years. And it was my husband's ex-wife, and yes, everybody heard that correctly, who put the bug in my ear about starting a fudge company while we were eating leftover fudge that I made every year for the holidays. And so fast forward 12 and a half years, we turned just making fudge into also a corporate packaged program where we can customize any of our products with company logos, personalized messages. So everybody, of course, always says, oh, the holidays. And trust me, the holidays are always great, but we are a 365-day-a-year business. And people, call us for events and for birthdays and anniversaries, and also just, companies when they want to thank somebody for sending a referral, or they onboard somebody, or they do a closing. Realtors are big clients of ours because they're always looking for something unique for a closing gift. And what's better than something that's edible and has a little sweetness to it and puts a smile on people's faces and brings back memories from when they were children or somebody in their family who made it. So that's kind of where we've kind of evolved into.
Well, congratulations on your 12 and a half years of business and your 15 years of fudge making. It sounds delicious, my friend.
Thank you. I tell people it's like almost 30 years. I started when I was 5 years old. So like,
well, like I say, you live fabulous, and all that fudge is delicious. So
thank you.
We're recapping a little bit. We talk about transition stories here, and you shared your story from following your passion, and this is how your company got started. But really, your business actually can help people flourish, not only in of course deliciousness, but like kindling that relationship with clients and stuff like that. And really, I want to talk about that because I think there could be a missed opportunity if people don't follow up with people in general. It's not necessarily just business, but just business in general. So I know your business helps people stay top of mind and that, but did this really, I know you started making holiday fudge. So my question is, following from your beginning, you made holiday fudge, and did you just give that out as a gift in general, or, how did that work?
So it started, my husband and I, when we started, I think our first year in our house, we had a holiday party We had quite a lot of people, and my husband's Cuban, and so we do the traditional Cuban, the pork leg and the yuca and the black beans and rice. All those Cubans out there know exactly what I'm talking about. It's a traditional dinner every year. But most of the people that sat at our table were Americans. And so I wanted to create just one of the rest, one of the desserts besides the flan and torrones and all that other stuff. I wanted something that people remember, kind of brings them back to the holidays. And so to me, fudge, although I didn't grow up with fudge, that was like the first dessert that came to my mind. And so I made it the first year, and I used, ingredients that I just had. I used a recipe that I could just find, and it was good and people loved it, but every year I would tweak it. I would use, instead of using peanut butter chips, I started using, natural peanut butter out of a jar and things along those lines. And so every year I kind of moved forward. But as far as for the gift giving, not only was it for the people that sat at our table, but we at that point had rental property. So it was an opportunity to give our tenants something that they just couldn't go out and buy. And, I would customize, the little card or whatever, just saying, thanks for being a great tenant. And so it just kind of became gift giving. Fast forward like 4 years, there were some people that were at our dinners previous years, but couldn't make it for various reasons. But then all of a sudden it's like, hey, that fudge, is there any way you can like send me some, or can I pick up some? And so I knew at that point I was creating now a product that I knew that was shippable. And that worked. That was beneficial, another dozen years later when I finally went into business. And so every year I would just tweak it. I would come up with different varieties. So when I started my business, I started with 6 varieties and they were my own recipes. And so I did one of my original 6, which is not on our line anymore, was a black bean fudge. And what I did was I took leftover black beans, added chocolate to it, created this concoction. And I have to say that with wine, it really went really nicely. And I ended up making it for a wine tasting and sold it for quite a period of time. But a lot of people are kind of like, if they don't try it, it's just not one of those. It's not one of those recipes that people are going to go, oh, black bean fudge, let me go order a pound of that. So we just kind of took that one off. But at the same point, we started, from, as I said, from peanut butter. We now make our own peanut butter and we do different things. We make our own toffee. And so we've just evolved over the course of years, and it all started from just serving it at a Christmas Eve dinner.
Right. So it sounds to me like you had like the gift giving type mentality in the first place. So for those who are business owners don't think about those key components. So and then you had tenants. So obviously you were making a lasting impression. So how important is really, thinking of gifts for, coming up for the holidays? Do you put some thought into like what kind of gifts are going to go? I mean,
Yeah.
what kind of thought do you put into this?
Right. Well, it's interesting that you say that because I actually I've been, as I said, I've been doing this for 12 and a half years. On a Zoom call, probably about a year ago, a gentleman said to me, he goes, have you ever read the book called Giftology? And I said, never even heard of it. So I ended up buying a copy. And it was quite interesting because it kind of, what I had already been doing with my business, I didn't realize how big of a business and industry it actually was. And so between that and doing some other research, there was a stat that came out, and this is a stat from, I think, 2021 or 2022. So it may be off just a slight bit for now, but the stat was 80% of consumers say that they're more likely to do business with a company that gives them a corporate gift. Now think about that, 80%. So there's also that companies that giving gifts to their clients and increase their employee productivity by more than 70%. And another study states that over 50% of employees stayed with their employer because they were recognized and they were given gifts and recognition. And it doesn't always have to be a tangible thing. And mind you, I'm telling you, it's not like everything's all about fudge, but I'm just saying in general that sending somebody a thank you, people don't thank people anymore, unfortunately. And so, saying thank you is great, But if all of a sudden somebody goes out of their way and does something for you, and all of a sudden you send them a handwritten card versus an email, or you send them, I mean, with us, what we do is we customize our products with company logos and personalized messages. So somebody's 80th birthday and you send them a little pack of fudge and it says 80th different thing, on it. It just sends such a different message, and it makes them, that you think about, you're thinking about them. And people
Right.
in my business always are talking about, oh yeah, it's great for the holidays. But if I always tell people, think about the impact, especially in business, because we're talking about business now. Somebody sends the proverbial gift at Christmas time. That's great. But if all of a sudden somebody sends you something in February or March, says, I love working with February, especially Valentine's Day. Love working with your business means the world to me, or whatever. That impact, because it's not necessarily a gift giving time, is going to send such a different message to your recipient than that. And then I say, if people, if you really feel that you need to do it during the holidays, my tip is always to do it at Thanksgiving. What are you doing? You're thanking people for doing business with you at Thanksgiving time. It's
Right.
just such a different message that can be received just by tweaking at a different time. And then for being a business owner, rather than trying to like shell out thousands upon thousands of dollars at Christmas, if you do it based on everybody's birthday or holiday throughout the year, it's like you cut, say, if it's $1,200 budget and you do $100 a month, it's much easier on the pocketbook as well. So it's a combination.
Right.
Well, there's a lot of psychology there, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah. It's I love how we're talking about the gifting, and I want to take a moment here because remind everybody that we're about halfway through. So Hillary has been dropping some gems. So again, if you've been picking them up, give us a thumbs up, hit that like button down there, maybe follow up with a comment below, and because we're like talking about the gift giving, and I think recognition is, like you said, so underrated. Um, and I think sometimes, and we're not diving too much into it, but we're talking a little bit about how important gift giving can be. And just the gift of saying, I appreciate you throughout the year can say so much more than just saying a Christmas card. Like you said, because it's like maybe they're expecting it and it doesn't become special anymore.
And part of that thing also is when somebody's expecting something, they're going to go ahead and start in their mind. It's like there was a story somewhere and it was about pizza. If I say, Tanya, I am bringing you pizza Tuesday night, and you say, fine, all of a sudden it gives you days. God, well, you know what? I hope it doesn't have pepperonis on it because I don't like pepperoni, but I like sausage. Wow, I hope it's like thin crust and not thick crust. It's like all of a sudden, by the time Tuesday comes, you have in your mind that perfect pizza. And if it doesn't come exactly, and kind of, I really like that, Coca-Cola or that specific beer with it. If all of a sudden you don't have it, it's it's still great, but you kind of got that certain thought process. And if it's not quite there, it's not 100%. Whereas if I just knock at your door Tuesday night with a pizza and a 6-pack of beer, you're like, oh my goodness, you're not thinking whether it's gluten, whether it's got it. It's like, okay, it's got pepperoni. I'll take the pepperonis off. You're not thinking that. It's like, it's a surprise. So that goes back to, again, if you send something to somebody when they're not expecting it, or it's just, hey, thank you for the referral. Okay, you thank somebody, they're not expecting necessarily something. And when they get it, don't you think that people are going to say, wow, they really appreciate that referral? I'll keep referring them business. I mean,
Right.
it's a simple thought process there. So
It's funny though because you say it's so simple, but it's so simple that it's so underrated that people don't really put the thought in it. It's like an afterthought. Well, oh,
yes,
let me go ahead and do the holiday stuff, but you could have. And I think I'm about to hit what I'm about to say is about thinking ahead of what you're going to do, so you have a plan for it. So people can put a plan into gifting, correct?
definitely. And I have, we work with financial advisors, and for them, their plan is that they do it. I have financial advisors that do it on the person's birthday. And then if they work with a couple, sometimes they do it on their anniversary. So once again, it kind of spreads their gift giving throughout the year, so they're not slammed all at one time of the year. Other people do it for when they onboard somebody. So there's different ways. Everybody does something, and it's just all about creating like a calendar so that And I have people who send me the entire year as their calendar, and then I'm the one who just it's my responsibility. Then I go, okay, so for September, these are the 5 people that you wanted to send out to. And I just send an invoice, and it's done. And so we take away a lot of that whole thought process that a lot of people, oh my goodness, I have to think about giving a gift every month. It's not really that difficult. It takes a little bit of planning, but once the planning is done, then at that point, it's just a cog and wheel, and it just kind of works itself. It's pretty easy. So
Right.
it's definitely.
Well, who knew that, time could fly by talking about gifting and stuff like that. And like I said, I think it's about building relationships. So it does, like you said, it doesn't always have to be tangible. It could be an appreciation, a shout out, or something like that. It's like, I appreciate everything that you're doing. So, Miss
Definitely.
Hillary, before we close out and stuff like that, what's the one thing you want to leave our audience with?
Um, I think that for your audience, I think some people may be overwhelmed. And even if you just start with one person a month, I mean, you may have multiples, you got to start somewhere. Sending one card, one thank you, one gift, one referral, one whatever. People nowadays, I think sometimes we go back to like the little things, or we go back to something, that brings us back to a childhood memory. It doesn't have to necessarily be the quantity or the expensive value. It's the fact of just getting into the habit of just doing some sort of gifting. And I think people will just, because people don't do it, when you do it, people are just nicely surprised. And I think the impact and the message that it sends is just so great that that's kind of what my business, we're trying to kind of go back to like the old school and the good old days. And when people did stuff like that.
I love it, and I love the idea of people sending you the calendar, so you know the people. So that takes a little bit off of people's plates as well. So
Yeah.
that's
It's
great,
very simple.
great.
The easier you can make it on people, the more that they'll do. Because everybody, I mean, I'm in the business of making fudge. You're in the business of doing podcasts and stuff. I mean, we all have our job, and we delegate to people to do part of our work because we can't do it all ourselves. We don't want to do it all ourselves. There's not enough hours in the day. So there's certain things like my social media. I don't do my social media myself. I have somebody who does it for me. So the things that you don't want to do, or the things that you are not the best at doing. Some people who, if you don't like doing math, that's when you have an accountant. So it's just, you just determine the things, if you love going out and shopping, and then packing and mailing and doing everything to send somebody a gift, great. If you don't, there are companies like mine out there that can help you do that. And, they'll never know it's not coming from you.
Well, again, thank you so much for sharing such insight on the gifting. But before we wrap up, where can people find more information about you, your services, and where to find that delicious fudge?
Awesome. Well, right above my left shoulder is my website, aflairforfudge.com, and my phone number's there. People, check out our website. But at the same point, if you don't want to order off the website, or you have questions, we are just as easy and ready. You'll usually get me, but the phone number's there as well. We've got a lot of different varieties and different foil colors, and we can customize anything to match your company logo, or to complement it, or an event coloring. Weddings, wedding, brides always have color coordinations and stuff. We can help with that as well. So anything. I mean, even if you're if your viewers just want to come and say hello, I always love talking to people. So it would be great.
Well, again, thank you so much, Hilary, for coming back on and keeping us informed and realizing that, yes, building relationships with gifts is just as important as running your business as well. So
It
again,
is.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tanya. And thank you to your viewers. Appreciate it. Have
Yes,
a
and
sweet day.
thank you. And again, thank you for your time. Thank you for your insight. And I also want to thank the listeners who tuned in, let you know that your feedback is always welcome. Remember that links that Hilary mentioned will be posted down in the description box. So please make sure you check it out down there. And again, if you enjoyed what Hilary dropped and you picked up some nuggets, please hit that like button. And if you want to get great insight like she shared today and other great guests, please hit that subscribe button. And remember, take things in stride, go with the flow, and create your own path. And we will see you back here on another episode of Coffee with Tea. All right. Bye-bye.